Under Armour Atlanta sets the tone for the camp circuit, and I can't wait to watch this morning. Let's go.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into The Portal. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime recruiting analyst and college football writer. Thank you for making The Portal your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head over to FanDuel.com to get started. Speaking of get started, the camp circuit really kicks off today just outside of Atlanta at Carrollton High School, just off I-20, west of the big city. I am very pumped up for this because it's the best event of the year for the one-on-ones and the big guys. State of Alabama, Mississippi, some kids from Florida will be there, a few South Carolina kids, Tennessee kids, traditionally. This year, I think it's a little more centered on Georgia and on Alabama. There's another camp they've got now up in Tennessee, and they've also got one they're going to have in New Orleans this year. So those are great. It makes it a little easier, get more top talent doing more reps. Everybody gets a taste. But with that, today's objective is threefold. Number one, I'm going to talk about why this particular stop for the Under Armour Tour is elite. We're going to talk about what I and many other people around the industry, John Garcia Jr., Andrew Ivins, Chad Simmons, you name it, people that come to this, why it's important for them in their college football recruiting rankings and what's projected for programs from Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, USC, to Miami, Florida State, Tennessee, you name it, why those programs want to know the information on the vertical and all that stuff. That's today. And we're going to also talk about 10 guys that I think are really exciting players. I'm going to touch on each of them towards the end of the show. That's going to be fun at the end, so stick around for that. But first off, here's the deal, man. This camp sets the tone because it is one of the best areas in the country for high school football, from quarterback, running back, all the way to linebacker and DB. Georgia and Alabama spend a ton of money on facilities, coaches, and administrators for high school athletics. They pay the people that do the teaching and do the administrating. That's why they do the best. That's why per capita, the state of Georgia this past year was number one in the country for NFL talent. And it's why Under Armour makes its first stop in Georgia. The players are elite. They're yes sir, no sir kind of kids in this area, and they get after it. We love it as scouts. The people at Under Armour love it. Everybody's in agreement. Now, let's talk about some of the things we look at from a perspective of how do you scout them and all that. It's pretty straightforward for me, and these are not going to be shocking. It's good on good. You got good players at every position. So when they do one-on-ones, or if you're just watching a guy do a broad jump, pro agility drill, the 40, there's no hiding. We're standing right there, videoing, taking photos, talking to each other. The media is right there next to the action. It's vital. This is an invite-only camp for the best of the best, and there is no doubt that on the hoof, especially for big guys, the Atlanta Under Armour camp does not disappoint. Speaking of big guys, when they do the O-line, D-line drill, it's like a herd heads over to a pile of free money because we never get good big on big in high school games on a consistent level. There might be one or two games a year where you see two truly elite players that put on the pads and bang, go against each other. That's from coast to coast. Because if there's a great defensive lineman at a school and the other team has an offensive tackle, they just put him on the opposite side. Why would you want him matched up with somebody that's competitive? You want to win the game. So when that's rolling, all of us are sitting there trying to get an angle, get the best view of one-on-ones. It's just the way it is. There's only a handful of them that you get for each kid. And here's the big thing that many of us discuss. This is something that is paramount. If there's a player out there that we all want to see, top 100 kind of kid, or at least we think he is, does he hide in the back of the line? Does he go for extra reps? Or is he the one that gets to the front of the line? Those are the kids we want to talk about. I talk to college coaches about this too. If you're hiding, it's not your time to shine, and you're probably not a top 100 guy. Secondarily, if you do lose a rep, sometimes you're going to get beat bad. That's life. How do you react to that rep? The most important reps for anybody, even a guy like Michael Jordan, Joe Montana, you name it, Tom Brady, guys like Noah Ryan, everybody, these Hall of Famers in all these sports, they had off days too. They had off reps. If Noah Ryan hung a curveball and somebody banged it out of the park, the next guy was still going to get a 98-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner. Good luck. The next rep counts. How do you go out there and make it work when you get beat? It could be a running back who stumbled out of his break on a one-on-one against somebody he probably should have handled. Does he get down on himself, or does he come back on that next rep and smoke the guy and get a viral clip? Does the quarterback who overthrows a receiver and gets picked, does he come back on that next rep and throw a frozen rope, or is he a little hesitant? Does he try to guide the football? Does he take a little bit later read in terms of when he should throw it? We see those things too, and they very much impact rankings, who gets written about. The phone calls are constant, even during the event, from guys at the event, talking to college coaches or texting, whatever. It's more texting, really. But that's the way this works. Those who shine are the ones that get the glory. That never changes. With that, here are a couple other things, just looking at it very specifically, that I want to talk about. If you're looking at this, again, I mentioned it earlier, vertical 40-yard dash, pro agility, these are things that are all measured, and they've got video everywhere. So these kids, it all gets out to the colleges. Everybody gets exposure that way. There's no hiding on the one-on-ones. They get all those reps too, and we get them. We put them on X, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts. I'll do a massive amount this next week. For the Under Armour kids, I'm going to talk about schools all over the Southeastern Conference. You name it. SMU, Notre Dame, Penn State, Miami. Everybody's going to have somebody here that they're recruiting. It's everywhere now. Like Texas has kids they recruit hard in Georgia. They're part of the SEC and they recruit more national than they ever have. USC's got a kid that'll be here that's committed. There are tons of guys. So just know that there's an angle for any recruit. And there's over 100 guys that come to each Under Armour event. So a couple other things here that I really look for beyond just the reps. Do you have some technique? Do you have some polish, as we like to say? That will elevate your game. And what is your frame? Do you have the length if you're an offensive tackle or a big tight end on the outside? Caden Prothrow, kid that might be the best player at this event. He's 6'6". I've seen him a handful of times anyway, but he's 6'6", could really run. Not just a little bit. He could really run for a taller guy, has great hands, runs pretty good routes. He could be a big receiver, but as a flex tight end, somebody inline part of the time is ridiculous. Georgia and a bunch of other programs are involved. How do you compete against him if you get a rep, if you're a linebacker or a DB? Those are the things I want to see. If you beat a good player, you earn more acclaim. Simple as that. You get what you earn. Far as the other thing, when this happens sometimes, when a guy is overmatched against you, do you dominate him? Dominate. Not good. Make it count. No doubt about it. If you do not do that, you didn't shine. There are obvious mismatches sometimes. Make the most of your opportunity. Now, as for the other thing, that this is just on the hoof, it's measurables. We talk about kids when they're warming up, and we see some of the linemen, they go first. We're like, this kid looks sloppy. This kid looks good, blah, blah, blah. This kid ran better than I thought, etc. There are numerous guys like that every year that either surprise, you're like, oh, wow, he's 2 inches taller than he was last fall. He's hit a growth spurt. There's another kid, you're like, man, for a tight end, he's probably not much more than 6'2". He's probably just going to be an H-back. Those things matter as well. When we come back, we're going to talk about 10 players at the event among numerous that I'm excited to see. That is next here on The Portal. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded, PrizePicks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 players' projections, and if you're right, you could win up to $1,000 your cash. PrizePicks even has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes Only needs to throw 1 yard to win. Pair that with one more correct pick, and you're cashing out. This week, I'm looking at the board and selecting more for Travis Kelce on receiving yards and more for quarterbacks passing yardage. What I love most, fast, safe withdrawals. When I win, my cash is in my account in as little as 15 minutes. Check out the promos tab to tail any of the Super Sweet Millie winners' big game lineups. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of $1 million in promo funds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On College for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Let's talk about some of the exciting players at the event. And again, this is only 10. There are numerous. Everybody going to this is a college football player in waiting. So these are some of the guys that I like, and I'll give an explanation of why I want to see them. So let's just get started. By the way, there is no order to this by any stretch of the imagination. Tyson Bacon, defensive lineman committed to the University of Tennessee. He's out of Hoover on the edge of Birmingham. It's a kid I've met. He works with Coach L in Birmingham. Great guy. I'm curious to see how he does against some of the big offensive linemen. One-on-ones, is he better inside? Is he going to be a power or strong side end? I don't know. But Tennessee took a chance on him early when some other schools they recruited him hard, but not as hard. And Tennessee was all in, like real early. Good for them. I love that. But I want to see him in the one-on-ones. I'm just excited. He's one of the better kids that I've met in a while. Really rooting for him. But you can never have enough defensive linemen either. I'm always curious about the big guys. Dorian Barney. He certainly will not have long to get to this event because he goes to the school where it's hosted, Carrollton. It's just off I-20 west of Atlanta. He's one of the better DBs in the South this year. Is he best at nickel, corner, or free safety long term? Everybody has a projection based on the services. I just want to see him live and really kind of pay attention to him. I like his film, but I want to see more of him because I think this is a kid that could end up being a top 100 player across the board. Who knows? Maybe he disappoints. I don't know. That's why you go to these events, to see him. A lot of speed and a lot of athleticism and a lot of length. Dorian Barney is a player that I really like. Maybe the most raw and intriguing guy, Travis Burgess. Now, this is a player that plays at Grayson, so just outside of Atlanta, Gwinnett County, and it's a prominent program year in and year out, coming off state title. Quarterback, got the arms, got the size, got pretty good mobility. Now the spotlight is on him. Auburn and several other schools are recruiting him. Where does he fall in that pecking order? I don't know how many good quarterbacks will be there. I haven't really paid attention to that list. Quarterback's usually not my biggest priority. It's the big guys. But this is an intriguing athlete because of his height. He's like 6'4", maybe 6'5". I'm really curious about Travis Burgess because if he can spin it well here, you will see his stock rise. You cannot teach the measurables that Burgess has. The next kid is actually a class of 27 that transferred into the 26 class. He's moving forward, going to take a whole bunch of credits. Probably won't graduate until the summer of 26, but he is an elite player. He, by many people, they thought for a rising junior, Ezavier Crowell was the number one running back in the country. He's at Jackson High School down in Mobile. Electric player, around 200 pounds or so. Can hit you in the mouth or go around you or give you a shake. Crowell, again, he's a year young, but is he now one of the elite players, not only in 27, but again, he's reclassifying to 26. Does he take a step up? And is he like an Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Texas kid? Is he on that level? Florida State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Let's see. If he does really well here, not that he doesn't have a bunch of offers, the heat in general will turn up for his services. Jordan Edmonds, defensive back out of Sprayberry. Elite length. I talked about that earlier as one of the things we want to see as scouts. This is a kid that has it. Sprayberry is in Atlanta. It's one of the better programs for producing some players that kind of come under the radar, but this kid's not under the radar. He's 6'2". He can run. He can change directions. He's going to get plenty of opportunities because there's some really good receivers here. We'll see how he does, but I love the upside there. He's going to have a gazillion offers before it's all done. He's already got quite a few as it stands. Tristian Givens, this is a kid I know very well. He plays at Carver High School in Columbus, Georgia, one of the best pass rushers in Georgia, also a really good receiver. It's an unusual combination, 6'3.5", 215 pounds, can run, can change direction, good student, yes sir, no sir kid. It would not shock me if he walked away from this event as the MVP. He will not be outworked. This is something I know about him just from seeing him at practice. He gets after it. Tristian Givens is one of the best players in the country. He's a quiet guy, but do not take that as something that is light. He is heavy on production. He will get it done. I think if I had to pick right now, he is my projection for the MVP of the event. Pass rushers in this do really well as a general rule. Jae Lamar, big-bodied running back, one of the best programs in the country, one of my favorite to study as well. Colquitt County, that is in Moultrie, Georgia, just off of 75, just a little bit west of it. Tremendous football program, tremendous fans, and he is the bell cow back. Downhill, in your face, can make some guys miss, but he just breaks tackles. He finds a way to get out of those shoestring tackles, and he'll run over a lot of guys. He is the 1985 SEC running back in modern day who can also catch and do some other things. Really want to see how he does in one-on-ones and see if he can get loose in some of those passing routes, because if he can do that as well as I think he can, he might be RB1 overall in the nation. Bryce Perry-Wright. This is the defensive lineman that just, you look, I've met him. Like if you look at him, you're walking up to him like, that's what it's supposed to look like for a future NFL player. Bryce Perry-Wright is an animal. Great guy, but he's not somebody I'd want to tick off. You shake his hand, you don't see yours. He's got a big paw, and he's a pure defensive tackle long-term. He plays at Buford, just northeast of Atlanta. Again, the Gwinnett County area is just elite, and just anything just northeast. Any of those schools, they always have players. This is a kid everybody's known about for a while. His recruitment will be bananas. I want to see how he does in one-on-ones as well. Those D tackles, if you can rush the passer, you improve your stock so much, and he's already highly rated. But if he has a good day, watch out for Perry-Wright. Speaking of watch out at defensive line, the kid that's just most intriguing on the hoof, I saw him recently during an unofficial visit at Auburn, Earnest Rankins. He's 6'6", 280, somewhere in that range. And he plays at Southwest DeKalb, another greater Atlanta area school. Just really, really big guy, easygoing. But when he walked in the room, I was like, who the heck is that? Because most of the time when I see D-line, I'm like 6'6", I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, I saw it. He wasn't no 6'4" kid. That is a big dude. He has a chance to be one of the best defensive linemen in the country. Just needs more technique. Let's see what he can do in the one-on-ones and how he takes the coaching and the D-line drills and all that. He's not technically all the way where I want him yet, but this is a chance for him to learn. Does he get better during the event? Does he win any one-on-ones? How does he do if he loses a rep? I might watch him about as close as any defensive lineman at the Under Armour Atlanta event. Finally, a kid that I know pretty well, Hezekiah Harris out of Jemison up in Huntsville, Alabama. He's committed to Auburn. Natural pass rusher, 6'4.5", 6'5", really athletic, could change direction. He kind of looks like a basketball player. 225, 230 pounds before his junior year even started. I'm not sure what he's up to yet, but he's a big kid and still looks lean. This is a kid that doesn't get much pub because he's in Huntsville, but he can absolutely play. Thank you once again for making the portal your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some recruiting with me. Make sure you hit that like button, that notification bell, and subscribe to this podcast and share it. If you know anybody that likes talking about high school football recruiting, the SEC, Ohio State, Texas, whoever it is you follow, there's information on this channel on a daily basis. I almost always have more than one podcast. I got shorts, got all kinds of things going on. You can find us on X, on Instagram, through FBScout_Florida. That's my main handle. Always posting different things with recruiting and what's going on. And I will also have another podcast or two or three covering the top players from this event. So make sure you check that out as well. I will talk to you again soon.